Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. The fourth verse. Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha kathametad vijaniyam Tvamadau proktavaniti. Shri Bhagavan uvacha bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vetha parantapa. Arjuna asked, O Lord, your birth is very recent, and also in this human form, whereas you claim that you imparted this knowledge to Vivasvan in the beginning of creation. The birth of Vivasvan was in the remote past, and his embodiment was that of a devata or a god. So, kathametad vijaniyam. How should I understand that you impart the knowledge to Vivasvan? Just taking the position that Lord Krishna is a human being. Because that is how somebody else would ask this question. If Lord Krishna is a human being, then we know that human beings do not remember the past birth, and therefore, even if in some other embodiment that knowledge was imparted in the beginning of creation, in this embodiment he would not remember. And so, and if he imparted then, he cannot be a human being. So, there seems to be an apparent contradiction in what Lord Krishna says to clarify Arjuna asks this question. So Lord Krishna says that I am God. I am Lord. I am omniscient, all-knowing. So, meaning that even though while being in this apparently limited human body, I have all the powers of God, who is omniscient, omnipotent. So Lord Krishna says, I am all-knowing. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani. Tavach Arjuna. Here Arjuna, I have gone through many births in the past, and so have you. What's the difference between the two of us? Tanyaham veda sarvani. I know them all. I know all the past births. Natvam vetha parantapa. Hey Parantapa. Hey Arjuna, you do not know them. So even though I look like a human being, like you, the difference is that you, the human being, who is a jiva or a limited being, does not have the remembrance of the past. Your knowledge is obstructed because of your ignorance, because of a sense of individuality, because of the ragadveshas. Your knowledge is obstructed, and therefore your knowledge is extremely limited. Whereas I am the one who is free from ignorance, and therefore the sense of ego or individuality, likes and dislikes. So all these factors which obstruct the knowledge are totally absent, and therefore I enjoy unobstructed knowledge. And therefore I am omniscient, I am all-knowing. If you are all-knowing, if you are God, then how can you be born? Because, as we discussed in the morning, birth can be only for an ignorant person? Even a wise person will not be born again. Because they said the birth is for a certain purpose. In the 8th chapter, Lord Krishna will say that whatever be your last thought at the time of departing from this body, that will determine your destiny. And the last thought or desire can be only for a person who is ignorant or incomplete, and therefore there is still desire to become complete, and that's why he takes next birth. But a wise person who knows that I am complete being has no desire left, and therefore even wise person doesn't take any new birth. Where is the question of God taking birth? So if you, as you say, you are omniscient, then how do you explain your birth? Because birth can be only for a jiva, for a limited individual. So Lord Krishna says, you're right that there cannot be birth, and still there is birth. How that is so is explained in the 6th verse. Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi sanna prakritim svamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. In the first line, Lord Krishna says, what is tooling my nature? Ajopi sanna. I am birthless. So God is birthless. Both ways, understand? God as Param Brahma, as consciousness that transcends all names and forms, of course, has no birth, no change. But Ishvara, who is Ishvara? Ishvara is Brahman, the same consciousness, as manifesting through Maya, the totality, the total creative power. So this is the concept of God. God is ultimate reality, Brahman. God is Ishvara here. Who is the creator? How does Brahman become creator, sustainer, dissolver? The understanding of God that we are given is that God or Brahman transcends all the attributes. He is beyond name, beyond form, he transcends names and forms, he is free from every attribute. And therefore, Brahman or the transcendental reality cannot really be the creator, sustainer, dissolver in a primary sense, because there is no change possible there at all. And still we see this creation, sustenance, we see that. And therefore, we assign that to Brahman only. Therefore, we look upon Brahman as the creator, sustainer, dissolver. How does it happen? With what we call Maya. Meaning that Maya, or the creative power, the totality of all the creative power is called Maya, which creates an appearance of what is really not there. Word Maya means magic. And just as a magician creates an appearance of something which is not really there, the audience is under the spell of magic, and therefore the magician creates all kinds of things. He may take, as we said, a piece of newspaper and show it as a $100 bill, which is not really there, but then to the spectators it appears to be real. If a magician could really convert a piece of newspaper on a $100 bill, he need not even give magic shows at all, because he can do that. He will become a millionaire in no time. But unfortunately, at the end of the magic show, he goes out with his hat, and then he seeks donation. That shows that the $100 bill that appeared to be in his hand was not real. It appeared to be real. What is not really there, but which appears to be real, this is what magic does. And this is a model or the example taken to explain the creation also. That what is really there is nothing but Brahman, is nothing but consciousness of Brahman, one without a second. What is God, what is Brahman, which is one, non-dual, limitless, changeless. But what we perceive is many. What we perceive is change. What we perceive is birth, death, everything. So how do you explain? How do you explain that Brahman in spite of being one? How do we perceive this manyness? Or we see the variety and then multiplicity. So it says, one appears as many. One, God, appears as this whole universe. By his power, creative power, called Maya. Just as a dreamer, even though he is one, appears as the whole dream world. In the dream also, we create our own private world of dream, which is nothing but a projection, because when we wake up, then there are no dream objects, no dream people. So this is called Maya, the creative power, which creates an appearance of what is not really there. However, the appearance is so effective, so vivid, that those who are under the spell of that Maya, they think that it is real, it is tangible, it is concrete. Like sometimes, although there is a play on the stage, sometimes the actors do such a good job that it all appears to be real. While watching movies, sometimes you get so absorbed, you think it is going on there, and you feel the same emotions. So Lord Krishna says that in reality, birth is not possible for me, who is Brahman. Ajopisan, because I am birthless. Avyayatma, there is no vyaya, there is no decay, there is no exhaustion, there is no death. I have no birth, I am birthless, I am deathless. What is meant by birth? And what is meant by death? Death is when the subtle body departs from one physical body, that is called death, and this subtle body gets associated with another physical body, that's called birth. Lord Krishna says there is no birth, there is no death for me. The death can be there only for the one who is born, and birth can be there for only one who dies. If Lord does not die, then there cannot be birth. Bhutanam Ishwaropisan. Further, I am the Ishvara, I am the ruler, the great Lord of all the beings. Meaning, I am the ruler and I am the one who rules with the help of all the laws. So all the laws are under my command. I am not commanded or controlled by the laws. Meaning that the law of karma does not bind the Lord. He is the one who commands with the help of the law of karma, and all the jivas are under the influence of law of karma, and not Ishvara. Meaning that karma also cannot compel him to take birth. You see, you and I, even if we did not want to take birth, we had to take birth. Because when you perform the karma, then you have to experience the result of that, and therefore you must be around when the result is fructifies, karma fructifies. So we have to take birth to experience the result of the actions performed in the past. Lord Krishna says, I don't have any doership. I don't have enjoyership. I have no kartrutvam. I have no bhaktrutvam. And therefore, there is no karma to compel me. Not only that, but the current law of karma is, I will the law of karma, and I am not controlled by law of karma. In short, in the first line of this 6th verse, Lord Krishna says that birth is not possible for me. birth is possible for the one who is subject to being born. So I am not subject to being born. Or birth is possible for the one who dies. I am not subject to death. Birth is possible for the one who is controlled by the law of karma. I am not controlled by law of karma. So all possible reasons that can bring about the birth, none of them is present in Lord Krishna, Lord, and therefore birth is not possible. Then how come we celebrate your birthday every year? This is Krishna Janmashtami, and therefore we celebrate Lord Krishna's birthday every year. They must be celebrating those days also. So that seems to be birth anyway. You seem to be born. So yes, I seem to be born. So second line explains, the first line says how birth in the real sense is not possible, but birth in a apparent sense is possible. Prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami atmamaya. Prakritim swam prakritim adhisthaya, wielding my prakriti, wielding my maya. Prakriti can mean nature. Prakriti therefore can mean Satchidananda, but now wielding my maya. Sambhavami, samyak bhavami, I very well appear. Atma maya, by my maya. Meaning that the embodiment that Lord Krishna has is not a product of these five elements. It is not a product of the flesh and bone. It is a product of what we call Maya. Maya is said to be pure sattva, Vishuddha sattva, which is the creative power. Whenever Lord Krishna says that I create an appropriate embodiment with the help of my Maya, and that is how I appear to be born, I appear to be doing things, I appear to die also. So they have recorded the death of Lord Krishna also. They recorded we don't know the date, etc. Nobody celebrates death in India, they always celebrate birth. But anyway, he passed away. So here Lord Krishna says that, what is the nature of his body? His body looks similar to anybody else's body. Maybe he was more beautiful and maybe no charming, etc. No doubt about that. But still, Lord Krishna says that do not take my body to be an ordinary human body. This body is not the product of karma. Otherwise, the body that we have is a product of karma. And therefore, I am what I am. Whatever be the characteristics of this body are all determined by the karma or the action that I performed in the past. But that is not the case with the body of Lord Krishna. That is not a product of karma. Because there is no bondage. That body is made up of Maya. Maya means magic, meaning that it is not made up of five elements, it is not made up of the flesh and bones, etc. It is a creation of Maya. Atma Maya, it is by my Maya that I created a body. So, this avatar, this is how Lord Krishna explains the principle of incarnation, avatara. There is something called avatar or incarnation. And Lord Krishna says why the incarnation is taken. In next two verses, Lord Krishna will explain when and why. But we accept something called avatar or incarnation, that whenever the necessity arises, then Ishvara takes up an appropriate upadhi or embodiment and appears on this earth. That embodiment is not made of these five elements, or not made of the ordinary, is not the modification of food, etc. It is a creation of Maya. So this is how the avatar is explained. What is Maya? Maya is, as I said, that which creates an appearance of that which is something not really there. Some people say that Lord Krishna cannot even have that kind of body. So they explain the verse by saying that it is not that Lord Krishna had a body made of Maya, but Lord Krishna appeared to have a body because of Maya. If you can listen to the difference between the two. One explanation is that the body of Lord Krishna is made of Maya. Other explanation is that Maya creates an appearance of body for Lord Krishna. And that appearance is enough for Lord Krishna to perform the vyavahara or perform all the activities, whichever way you take. But the way Shankaracharya explains is that Atma Maya, by Maya, Lord Krishna creates a body with which he performs all the vyavahara, with which he interacts with the world and does whatever is required to be done. Oh Lord, so when do you take the birth? When do you take this avatar? The next verse explains that. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. Whenever there is decline in dharma or righteousness, adharmasya abhyuthanam bhavati. And there is also abhyuthanam, the arising of or strengthening of adharma or unrighteousness. So we discuss this dharma in the morning. As we said, one meaning of the word dharma is duty, or dharma is righteousness, or dharma is an action performed in keeping with the order or in keeping with the law. So any action that is performed in keeping with the obtaining harmony would be called dharma. An action that violates the obtaining harmony or order will be called adharma. So dharma can be translated as virtue, adharma can be translated as vice, dharma can be translated as right action, adharma can be translated as wrong action, dharma can be translated as duty, adharma can be translated as violating the duty. So we discuss in the morning how when different people making up a society, any particular setup, any setup which in fact consists of several people, that setup can work in harmony only when all the members comprising the setup perform their duty, they do what is expected of them or what is appropriate for them to do. And we said the concept of duty is that I consider myself responsible. I have an appreciation of the support that I am gaining from the setup. And therefore, there is a sense of gratitude, and with that, I return the favor. Because when I am a part of a setup, such as a family, then I am the beneficiary of what the rest of the members of family do. Somebody cooks, somebody shops, somebody earns, somebody cleans, and I am the beneficiary of what rest of people do. Then it naturally becomes my duty to participate and give my share also. Therefore, an action that is performed with a sense of gratitude that arises from the appreciation of the benefit that one is gaining from a setup, and the action that I perform in the sense of gratitude as my contribution, as my participation, is called duty. And so if everybody participates in the spirit of their own contribution, which is on account of an appreciation of the benefits that they are receiving, and therefore there is a sense of gratitude on account of that appreciation, and out of gratitude I participate. Not to oblige somebody, but in fact, out of gratitude I participate. If there is this spirit of participation on the part of the various members making up a system or a setup, then the setup will run very smoothly. Because everybody participates and therefore everybody is the beneficiary of what everybody else does. So I am a contributor also, at the same time I am the beneficiary of what others are doing. And therefore, as we said in the morning, in the process of everybody performing their duty, the rights of everybody also are automatically assured. Imagine the whole society functioning like that. This is the basic principle of administrative management in any setup. This is called dharma. So when people participate in the spirit, then we could say that they are following their dharma, they are following their duty. In which case there will be harmony. When there is harmony, there is prosperity, and thus both external as well as internal prosperity, and all the members making up that setup would be happy. In the society, therefore, there will be happiness and harmony when the principle of dharma or principle of duty or the principle of participation prevails. And we said also, in order for me to perform my duty or to participate, it does require me to make an offering. And therefore, I have to set aside my own comforts or conveniences often, my own ragadveshas also, and that is how following a life of dharma results into what we call an inner growth. Because when I participate, then I should look to the needs of the setup and not my needs. That being the case, I identify with the setup. Giving the identification with my ego, I identify with a larger setup. So if you are a part of an organization, then if you identify the organization, then you set aside your own ragadveshas and adopt the ragadveshas of that for which you work. This helps me to slowly grow out of my ego or my limited ragadveshas or this narrow-mindedness, and makes me a person who is more accommodative. And therefore, living a life of dharma automatically brings about a slow but sure freedom from our own likes and dislikes, and brings about an internal purity. So that is what distinguished Arjuna from Duryodhana. How come Lord Krishna imparted this teaching to Arjuna rather than to Duryodhana? Because Arjuna lived a life of dharma, and therefore he enjoyed that purity of the heart. So thus dharma brings about first what we call an inner growth or a spiritual growth, and in turn also brings about the material growth. So when material prosperity is outcome of the spiritual prosperity, then that material prosperity becomes a blessing. If material prosperity is at the cost of spiritual prosperity, then it does not become a blessing, it can become in fact a curse. So this is how the Vedas prescribe what we call dharma as the basic principle of living life, because of which there will be harmony in the society, harmony everywhere. That's why it did not require what we call the old age homes and all kinds of stuff. Because every home took care of the people, In an extended family, there are people who are not always equally strong or equally creative, productive. They are taken care of. The old people are automatically taken care of because the children look upon it as a duty to take care of them. Thus there is this, I'm duty bound, they say, It means that there is a bondage of duty. And if that is performed with a proper spirit, then as we said, it brings about a growth in inner maturity. So dharma thus becomes a vehicle for assuring the spiritual growth of an individual and thereby assuring him a real happiness. Therefore, when Lord created this world, He also created the principle of dharma, which is what we call the order. And He created the Prajapati, He created the lords of the beings who will assure that dharma is practiced. That's why they said again, the kings were Kshatriyas, whose job it was to follow the dharma, at the same time implement the dharma also. As long as this is going on, Lord can be sleeping, as Lord Narayana is shown, always sleeping. In the milky ocean, in his serpent bed, he is always in the yoga nidra, he is always sleeping. He does not need to do anything. Everything takes care of itself. Sometimes then there is a monkey wrench in the whole setup. Sakale neha mahata. The time has the effect of always creating a disorder. This is what the time does. Disorder rather has a tendency always to grow. And therefore, it is necessary to keep set things in order, otherwise disorder will automatically happen. If you don't put things in order, then you will find in course of time, something is here, something is there. That's how it happens. Another thing is that when there is prosperity in society, then artha kama, the comfort and pleasure become more important to people. And dharma, the righteousness, which requires a certain self-control and a personal discipline, that often gets compromised. And that we see worldwide. As the prosperity is increasing, how people become more and more indulgent, with less and less discipline, and thus more and more licentious sometimes. Because when comfort is there, then your capacity to suffer the pain or hardship also goes down. You become more and more delicate. As somebody just now said, Swamiji, oh boy, that day I had to take bath. He had to pour just one pot of cold water. How am I going to do that? My whole life I have always taken bath with warm water. How can I do that? Become so delicate that I cannot even pour one pot of cold water on my head because I'll catch cold. I can't stand that. So comfort makes a person slowly delicate. And slowly the capacity to suffer the hardship, which duty or dharma always calls for, that capacity goes down. And therefore, slowly and slowly, the dharma gets compromised. When it's very comfortable, there is nice heat, nice air conditioning, when I'm sleeping and alarm rings at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there is this, bed is too comfortable. And therefore, who wants to give up that bed? I shut up the alarm, I get up at 7 o'clock. That is how, yada yada hi dharmasya glanihi bhavati. Slowly dharma, the righteousness, which requires discipline, requires self-control, which requires a willingness to put up with hardships, which requires me to let go of my personal likes and dislikes, which requires me to give greater importance to the needs of others. This spirit slowly declines because people become more and more delicate, more and more comfort-loving. And therefore, dharma or the discipline declines. And adharma or indiscipline or violation is always waiting. Dharma also can mean living a life of values. That is also dharma. Being non-violent, being non-hurting, being truthful, being honest. And it is not easy to follow the values unless, as we said again, we are willing to put up with hardships. So the values slowly start getting compromised. And we can see everywhere how dishonesty is showing up. I mean, at a very, very high levels and every different level also we can see nowadays how people's dishonesty is slowly coming up. It must be there. Now we are becoming aware of it, but at the highest level. Because now it is greed, it is anger, it is lust. These forces start becoming powerful. When righteousness becomes weak, then when the honesty becomes weak, then greed starts becoming stronger. When self-discipline becomes weak, then anger starts becoming stronger. Again self-control becomes weak, then my tendency to indulge becomes stronger. So kama, the tendency to indulge, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, slowly these tendencies start becoming stronger. That's called when adharma becomes strong. Not only adharma becomes strong, but adharma starts reigning, adharma starts ruling. Yada yada hi dharmasya gnani bhavati. When dharma, the righteousness, declines, abhyuttanam adharmasya, adharma or unrighteousness becomes strong, powerful, such that dharma is no more effective, and adharma rules the society, then the society is sure to perish. We do not require anybody else, we do not even require any atom bombs to destroy us. Adharma is enough to destroy us. Because adharma creates all kinds of conflict. When then these forces of kama, krodha, lobha, lust, greed, anger, when they dominate my mind, then what is in my mind also will show up in my behavior as well. Therefore I act out of anger. Now whenever I express anger, it is going to create conflict. Whenever I act out of greed, I am going to hurt somebody. And thus, because people are impelled by these forces of kama, krodha, lobha, they start hurting others and they get hurt in the process. And therefore, the relationships which are formerly harmonious relationship, they start relationships wherein each one hurts the other. And all of this we experience in our day-to-day life, in our own home we experience, in our friendship we experience, in the society we experience, everywhere we experience. But we cannot control this kama, krodha, lobha, then we know what happens. Abhyuttanam adharmasya. Adharma, this negative tendency, the demoniac tendency becomes so strong. So Ravana represents the demoniac tendencies. Or a Kamsa represents those tendencies. So in our stories in Purana, we find that Lord had to take incarnation when someone like Ravana, a demon, became so powerful that he was ruling the three worlds. Hiranyakashipu became so powerful, these demons became so powerful that they were ruling the world. In fact, Hiranyakashipu declared that there is no God, you worship me. Don't say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, say Om Namo Bhagavate Hiranyaya, say that. He compelled his people to do that. Where is your God? Show me. So when Abhyuttanam adharmasya tada atmanam srujamyam, then Lord Krishna says that I assume an appropriate embodiment. The embodiment is appropriate for responding to a given situation. Therefore, we find that in different avatars, incarnations, Lord assumed different kinds of embodiments. He even became a fish. He became a tortoise. He became a boar. He became half lion and half man. He became a dwarf. He became all one by one, as was required. Abhyutta tadatmanam sujamyaham, then I create a body, create an embodiment which is appropriate for responding to that situation. So when does avatar happen? When adharma becomes predominant. Our Swamiji says that people ask sometimes, Swamiji, when is the next incarnation going to come? See, Indians have become so used to incarnations that they always want somebody to solve their problem. So they are waiting for the next incarnation to happen, who will set everything right. But Swamiji, is such a thing there? Why not? How can such a body be there? How can anybody create a body like that? If God can create the whole universe, can He not create one upadhi? Can He not create one embodiment required for that purpose? So incarnation is accepted. Alright. Having taken incarnation, what do? The 8th verse tells us that Paritranaya sadhunam Vinashaya ca dushkritam Dharma samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami yuge yuge. So these two verses 7 and 8 are perhaps the most famous verses of Bhagavad Gītā. Other famous verse is the verse from the 2nd chapter, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phale sukadachana. So these are the verses that you usually see being displayed, either Karmanyavadikaraste or Yada Yada hi dharmasya. What is the purpose of your taking incarnation, O Lord? Paritranaya sadhunam. Sadhunam paritranaya, for protection of the good people. Who is sadhu? Sadhu is a good person. Sanmargastha, the one who follows the righteous path, is called a sadhu. Typically, the word sadhu is used for a sannyas in India. A renunciate. But here, the word sadhu really is used in the sense that it means sadhu means a good person. A person who is a righteous person. The person who follows the path of dharma or righteousness. In fact, the word sadhu is explained like this. Parakaryam sadhnoti iti sadhu. The one who accomplishes somebody else's need. Parakaryam sadhnoti. So one who helps somebody else to accomplish his purpose is called a sadhu. So sadhus or good people are always people having an attitude of serving. Paropakara. Paropakara means helping others. Because this paropakara or helping others is shown to be the very order in the universe. That everything always helps others. That is how the spirit or the order is in the universe. So there is a verse in Sanskrit which says, Paropakaraya vahanti nadyah. The rivers flow for the sake of serving others. Paropakaraya vibhati suryah. The sun shines for serving others. Paropakaraya phalanti vrikshaha. The trees bear fruits for helping others, serving others. Duhanti gavaha, cows also give milk for serving others. So wherever we look in the nature, everywhere the spirit of paropakara or spirit of helping others is prevalent. Except for the human being. Only because, as we said, everything else is designed such that automatically they serve others. As we said, our body also is so designed that every limb or every organ of the body serves the whole body and serves others. In fact, we ourselves are the recipient of what the rest of the world does to serve us. The whole world is serving us. And ideally, therefore, we should also continue that spirit of serving others. Then alone we can be in harmony with the world. So you can say dharma. Also can we say a righteous action. Can we say to be an action that is performed in the spirit of serving others. So there are these good people. There are these sadhus. There are the people who follow the path of righteousness, who generally function in the spirit of serving others. When can you do that? When you enjoy doing it. When you enjoy doing that, then there is no problem. So sadhus are those who enjoy reaching out to others, who enjoy serving others. As long as such people are there, so long there is no problem. Even if some people are there, if not everybody is a sadhu. If there is a reasonably good number of people in the society, where sadhutvam or the spirit of serving others, spirit of reaching out is there, so long the society will function. But a time comes when the sadhus are not able to function. The forces of adharma, unrighteousness, become so powerful that they deliberately obstruct the functioning of the sadhus. As we see in Ramayana, that sage Vishwamitra comes to the court of King Dasharatha and requests Dasharatha, please let your older son Rama, please send him with me. I need him. Why do you need him? My son is only hardly 16. Why do you need him? He says, well, I need him to guard the sacrificial ceremonies that we are performing. What's the problem? The problem is that these demons, all these messengers of Ravana, these demons come, and while we are performing these ceremonies like we were performing yesterday, they come and throw bones, in the fire. That means the whole thing is polluted, the whole thing is gone. The sanctity must be maintained. Those fellows deliberately throw some bones. You know how sometimes conversion took place in India? These fellows will pollute the well. The whole village is drinking water from the well. They'll throw some wine or something there, pollute. The whole village is taken water, then they declare, see, this is what you've done. You're no more Hindus now, you get converted, something, whatever. Anyway, apart from that, but as I said, this is a story that we hear, that in those days, these demons would deliberately come and obstruct the performance of any virtuous action. They just will not allow any virtuous action to be done. Because when you perform the fire rituals like we did yesterday, as you could see there, the mantras are chanted and offerings are made. Offerings are made to devatas, offerings are made to gods. That is how gods get their food, really. Where will gods get their food? From us. That is the reason why one of the duties that the human beings were required to perform is every day perform these fire rituals and make offerings to gods so that gods get their food, they get their nourishment, they get their strength. If the gods are strong, then demons cannot overpower them. But the trick, the method that these demons employ is, they will not allow these sacrificial ceremonies to be performed. And therefore the gods, the devatas, will be deprived of their offerings. And thus, day by day, the fellows become weaker and weaker. And then you can overpower them and, you can drive them away from heavens. And that's how these Rakshasas would take hold of heavens and earth and the whole world. These are stories. When that happens, then because he is only wedded to adharma, Ravana will not allow anybody to follow dharma. And as we said, if dharma vanishes, the whole universe will vanish. Because adharma creates such conflict that ultimately, that conflict will destroy the society. Paritranaya sadhunam. Therefore, Lord Krishna says that the purpose of incarnation is sadhunam paritranaya, paritahratranaya, to very well protect these good people, these sadhus, or these people who are on the path of dharma, the path of righteousness, the path of serving others, protect them. Because how do you protect dharma? Dharma is always centered upon one who performs dharma. Therefore, dharma can be protected by protecting people who practice dharma. Because dharma is not a tangible entity. Dharma is the spirit behind the action that I perform. Therefore, to protect dharma, what is needed is to protect the people who follow dharma. So Lord Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the sadhus, for protecting those who follow the righteous path. Vinashach dushkrutam, and there are those called the wicked people. That person is called wicked who deliberately hurts others. A wicked person is one who gets pleasure out of somebody else's misery. There are some people who get joy out of giving joy to others. There are some people who are very exalted people whose happiness comes by making others happy. There are middling people who are more self-centered, and their happiness comes by making themselves happy without regard to somebody else's happiness. And there are this most miserable category of people whose happiness comes from making others unhappy. So that is called dushkruta. That is called a wicked person. And therefore, these wicked fellows will enjoy torturing others, harassing others. That is where their joy comes from. They have become so degenerated in their spirit. As I said, the evil, in fact, is so strong in them. The tamas has become so strong in them that their joy comes by making other people miserable. This is called dushkruta, wicked people. Vinashaya dushkrutam, for protecting the righteous people and for destroying the wicked. Because wickedness, again, abides in the wicked people. Therefore, the only way to eliminate adharma is to eliminate ultimately people who follow dharma. So that sounds very cruel, Swamiji. God is cruel. Even He kills people. So, what He said, no, this is not cruelty. If you listen to the stories in Purana, when Lord Krishna kills a demon, it is not called killing a demon. You know how they will describe? They will say, releasing this fellow. So, it is not Putana Vadha. It is not killing of Putana, the demoness. But then, it is Putana Uddhara. It is in fact lifting up Putana. The idea is that even in killing, apparently killing those people also, it is lifting them up and helping them in their onward spiritual journey. There is a verse which says that Lalane tadaneva matuhu na karunyam yatharbhake. Just as a mother sometimes might, generally, the mother in fact shows love to the child, sometimes punishes the child also. Is it not so? She should, if necessary. I am not saying they should punish, but if necessary. If the mother thinks that punishing is in the well-being of the child, understand? Not out of her anger or something like that, but the mother feels that the child needs, to be restrained, then shows restraint also. So when a mother, out of love or for concern for the child, suppose appears to be punishing the child, it is not really cruelty of the mother, it is still kindness of the mother, because sometimes the kindness requires you to be apparently cruel also. Not cruel. As I said, in every relationship there is going to be nigraha, anugraha, that you give the freedom as well as you show the restraint in every relationship. If anybody wants to administer any system, you will do that. You cannot let everybody do what they want. And you cannot always restrain everybody from what they want also. Like a charioteer allows the horses to run as long as they are conducting themselves all right. But when the charioteer finds that the horses are running too fast or that they are being deviated from the route, then he restrains them also. And if the horses are still running away and refuse to be restrained, then he has a whip. He can punish them also. No punishing, but then for bringing in the right path. Therefore, this action of a Rama, Lord Rama, destroying a Ravana, is not looked upon as an act of cruelty. It is in fact meant for releasing this Ravana from the miserable life that is living and to help him to ultimately proceed on the path of his own spiritual growth. So, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkrutam, for protecting sadhu, the righteous people, or for destroying the wicked. Again, this destroying the wicked, such as Duryodhana. All understand that all attempts were made to convert Duryodhana. So Lord Krishna himself went to the court of Duryodhana as a mediator, as a messenger of peace, to mediate between the Pandavas and Kauravas. And he made very lucrative offers to Duryodhana also. Actually, the condition was, when Pandavas returned from their 13 years of exile, then Duryodhana was required to give them half the kingdom, which belonged to them, rightfully. When Pandavas actually came back, Duryodhana refused to part with the kingdom. So Lord Krishna, reasoned with him. Says, now you yourself, why don't you do that? You have such a huge kingdom, why don't you give half? Which, there are 5. So they'll divide among them. He says, no way. All right, give them 5 villages, okay? So that at least each one has 1 village. No. Give them 1 village with 5 houses, okay? No. Give them 1 house with 5 rooms. He says, no. Pandavas cannot have the earth or soil equal to the tip of a pin. They will have to get it from me, they will not, they will have to actually win it from me, they will not get it. Meaning that he made it impossible for the Pandavas to avoid the war. But anyway, in short, efforts are always made to reason. For example, Ravana also. If you read Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas of Saint Tulsidasi, there were 19 attempts made to reason with this Ravana. 19 times different people made attempts to reason with Ravana to explain to him why he should return Sita and avoid this conflict which is going to bring about his destruction. But he refused. Vinashakale viparita buddhihi. It is said that when the end is imminent, the person thinks all wrongly. But anyway, that is called a wicked person who cannot think right. And so a time comes when the only way to destroy the wickedness is to destroy the wicked. So understand that this principle of non-violence always calls for protection of righteousness. Therefore, an active resistance against evil is not against non-violence. Non-violence does not mean that you just fold your hand and let anything happen as it is happening, because then it will be violence, because the whole society will be destroyed. Just as a surgeon must perform an invasive surgery upon one part of the body to save the rest of the body, you have to amputate also one part to save the rest of the body, which is nothing but violating that part of the body, but that is required. Otherwise, if the invasiveness is not there, then the whole body then a greater himsa will take place. Therefore, sometimes this amount of himsa or violence apparently becomes necessary to protect the rest of the society. Paritranaya sadhu, because sometimes it may appear as that this is a violent society. Your gods are violent. No. We say this also becomes necessary to protect the rest of the society. The diseased part sometimes has to be removed in order to protect the rest of the body. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya for establishing dharma, sambhavami yuge yuge. As and when required, I appear, as Lord Krishna says. We'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.